Modern psychology is overwhelmingly concerned about the mind and whatever we can measure about it, behavior, brain activity, etc. But since the beginning of psychology, other branches of psychology, minority branches, were concerned about the inner side of consciousness. And very few of them were calling it the soul, but that's exactly what they were studying. So in this video, we will explore all those branches of the inner psychology. And at the end of this video, you will be able to grasp the height and the depth of the concept of the soul. Bear with me. Freud's big question was how to explain that human can be sometimes so irrational. So why do we have dreams? Why do we sometimes do things that are contrary to our intention and to our moral values? Why do we develop neurosis, psychosis? For Freud, at the core of the psyche, there is an inner ocean created by unconscious passions. And these passions, even if we don't realize it, are driving a part of our life in a certain direction. And sometimes they may cause us pathologies and to repeat over and over again the same mistakes. But the problem with the unconscious is that we need someone to help us to go inside ourselves. And the psychoanalysis is all about enter into a very deep relationship with the analysts in order to be able to explore, and also through other relationship of the present and in the past, how our unconscious keep operating under the surface in order to not to neutralize the unconscious, but to live in peace with its forces. Carl Gustav Jung was a psychoanalyst, but he was also the most soul-friendly major author of psychology. First of all, because he was the only one to dare to use the word soul, but also because he have brought important concepts to understand the soul. First of all, the concepts of introversion. An introverted person is someone who has the tendency to be more interested in what's going on in the inner part of the psyche rather than the outer part of the psyche as the extroverted do. So basically, people who are introverted are more likely to be interested about the soul than extroverted. The second concept is the projective test. And the idea is that it is possible to capture some of the soul or the unconscious functioning through some tests that will allow the mind to and allow the inner drives of the unconscious to express to those tests. And the most famous test is probably the Rorschach-Inkball test, which hasn't been created by Jung, but the idea of projective test is of Jung. The third concept he brought is the collective unconscious. So basically, he does not deny the existence of an individual unconscious as Freud presents it, but he says that above that personal unconscious, we also have a collective unconscious, and it is a pool of archetypes that we share with the entire mankind. So it's an inheritance that all humans have. And that's a very important concept to understand how the soul operates. The last concept is the one of individualization. And basically, there is many layers in the psyche, but at one point, we feel the need to reintegrate all the parts of the soul, all the bright and not so bright sides, the feminine and the masculine parts, and to create a sense of coherence. And that process is the individualization, which is about experience life as an integrated self or soul. Instead of postulating that we have an inner ocean of turbid drives, Aaron Beck postulated that a lot of pathologies such as depression, anxiety, OCD, and personality disorder are the product of what he called dysfunctional cognitive schema that function pretty much as a pair of spectacles that you have over the nose and that will distort your perception. So for instance, if I believe that I'm not lovable, anytime my girlfriend will show signs that she's not interested in me, I will panic and I will do something frantic to get her attention back. But doing so, I put the relationship in risk. So at the end, my fear of losing people will cause me to lose them. This is a vicious cycle, but through a procedure called cognitive behavior therapy, you can undo that in two ways. First of all, you can monitor your thoughts and just refuse anytime your mind is telling you that you are not lovable. You say just no. It's my belief. I don't want to yield on that belief. But you also have usually to climb back to the original belief and probably to the moment where you have integrated that belief in the past to give more sense of it and in order to reprogram somehow and reinvent your life. For decades, psychologists were persuaded that humans do good things just because there are external pressure to do so. So whenever we do things that are recognized as positive in a society, we get rewarded. Whenever we do the contrary, we get punished. And this is only one part of the moral behavior, because deep inside, we are also driven internally to express some of our values, or personal values, virtue, personality, strength, whatever you call them. But we have some program of action, and whenever we can act upon them, we feel strong. That means if we do a therapy and we struggle to do something difficult, like facing our fears, we may grasp and remember what are our deep values, and thinking about them, formulating them verbally, get inspired and get the inner strength to face our difficulties and to stick to what we want to become deep inside. This is one way to flourish. It's to express our inner values or virtues outwardly. And Seligman and Peterson has developed an inventory of those values, and there are actually several of them. But this is really an important step towards the comprehension of what makes our life deeply rewarding and meaningful. Till the mid-80s, psychologists had a superstitious fear of discussing, as such, spirituality. And it was believed that even religion was about to disappear by the end of the century. But then a new stream of research started when mindfulness meditation technique has been integrated as a part of a normal psychological practice, when psychotherapies such as dialectical behavioral therapy start to advocate that people who had a spiritual practice should stick to it in order to get a better coping and social support through it. So the brain imagery of meditating people has clearly demonstrated that those guys are capable to switch on and off some part of the brain that were supposed to be inaccessible to consciousness. And even nowadays, the use of therapy based on hallucinogenic product is really aiming at dissolving the frontiers of the normal mindset in order to expand to a better understanding of the world. So nowadays, spiritual experience is part of psychology. And so if you want to have like a mental representation of what the soul could be, I invite you to do the following visualization. First, you draw a vertical line that goes deep towards the earth in one direction and deep towards the sky above. There is the horizon line. And so in the lower part, you can put the Freudian unconscious with its dark, immature drives, with its neurosis, with its psychosis. You can add the dysfunctional belief that Beck was talking about, if you like, the good old 7 deadly sins, which is basically the former formulation of what we call nowadays personality disorder. That is for the lower part of the soul, and it's disturbing. But there is also an upper part. So load the upper part with what we have called personality strength, values, virtues, spiritual experiences. Probably the collective unconscious goes upwards and downwards altogether. But then when you have all that vertical line, you have some sense of what do I mean by the soul. So yes, it is overwhelming. And so it's easy to understand why psychologists were so reluctant to go there, because it's just unfathomable. But as it is a fundamental part of our existence, we kind of need to explore it. And in the next video, we will see 3 very important reasons why we should integrate the soul as such within the frame of psychology.